Hey, it's the Circle of Hope Pastors again. We're on location this time, all over the state, it would seem, and in public. So you might hear some background noise during this episode of Someone Asked. The idea is we have a lot of questions that people ask us, and we want to answer them. Today's question is, why do we care so much about church planting? We started church planting in the 90s. Why does it matter in 2015? What are we doing? So Ben and Joshua are reporting from a church planting conference, so perhaps they can start their insight. Joshua, go ahead.
Yeah, well, at a, at a Brethren in Christ Church Multiplication Summit, which I think is a good way to frame it. I appreciate that they tried to change the frame job a little bit. Think of it in terms of multiplying what God's given or multiplying what we have rather than necessarily taking something that is foreign and introducing it. But the thing about church planting in the 90s, is kind of maybe getting going. But for us, it's always about God using what we have and what we've done and doing something now, but doing what's going to come next. So it's a continual project. It's not just like, one time, one and done kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think elemental to Circle of Hope are our cells. And so a cell is being planted all the time, so we're always church planting. I just planted a cell 3 weeks ago in Barrington, New Jersey. One of the folks that is partners with us over at our congregation in Pennsauken was like, "Yo, why is Ben planting a cell in Barrington? We don't have people in Barrington." No, we didn't until 3 weeks ago when I went and met them, convinced them to do a cell in their house, and now we're church planting in Barrington. So, yeah, I really feel like I'm church planting, even though the congregation has existed for many years. The work that they've done is great, but the work we're doing now is new, and it's not the same work we've been doing. So, yes, we're still church planting.
It's a big deal, Ben. What you're saying is we're going into new territory, we're meeting new people, and we're connecting them to Jesus. It's exactly what the Apostle Paul was doing as he was traversing the Mediterranean area in modern-day Turkey, in Greece, in Italy. All these places that now have the gospel began with the church planting movement. The idea of stepping out of our own cultural constructs and inviting someone new, who they are, to enter into the love of Christ. We have a responsibility to be, for me, that hospitable, is what I would say.
Yeah, I think that the person that might have asked this question was thinking about church planting as that kind of brand new thing. It's someone starting like a church from scratch or something like that. But because we want to be starting the church from scratch again and again, because it's bigger than just the cells too, because we have this multiplication built into our plan from Jump Street 2, is to, I'm in, again, just throwing out the geography, I'm in South Jersey around Pennsauken, but, I'm hoping that someday there's a congregation in, Burlington City or something like that. Like, I have my mind set on what's next. Here at the conference, one of our guys from Kansas was talking about moving down the highway in Kansas, jumping to the next church plant. And I think that's great stuff too.
Joshua, something we often hear is, how are we supposed to grow deep when we're always growing wide? How do we master that tension between spiritual depth and width, growing and expanding, meeting new people, and also deepening faith? You hear this question a lot. What would you say to someone who says that?
Well, first of all, you got to get over the dualism. Hey, can you guys mute your microphones? Thank you.
Yeah, I hear you.
The dualistic thinking of that, like you can't grow deep while allowing to connect to somebody else, is a unfortunate product of European dominance. So that's just the one thing I want to philosophically just say. They're not mutually exclusive, and it's an integrated. Discipleship is an integrative process. And if you're not connecting the next person, how are you actually growing deep? What is your depth about? Is it about you? That's kind of like Gnostic. And if you're just connecting the other person, but you have nothing to connect them to, again, what is it? Like just kind of some friend club? You have to, like, the way of discipleship connects both of them, right? Isn't that kind of how you work with it too?
I do. I think that the work of church planting gives me reason to be a Christian every day. It gives me reason to depend upon God. It's work that's hard enough that requires daily dependence upon the Holy Spirit. It gets me rubbing up against people that are different, having to have conflict, loving them, forgiving them, being forgiven. It's the perfect environment for my own personal growth and discipleship of Jesus, but then all of my partners too, they get to have that experience and grow up.
Yeah, the method's in the medium. You know, the more you do it, the deeper you get. If you want to be close to God, you have to do His work. At the end of John, that's exactly what Jesus challenges Peter with. If you love me, then feed my sheep. Take care of my lamb. This is the idea. Another image would be, it's really hard to dig a deep hole without expanding it. You know, if you just want to make it individualistic and have your own personal depth increase, that's a really hard thing to do. Why would you want to do it? Getting more people involved actually makes our effort better, you know. To tie it with one more, go ahead, Joshua.
I was going to say the image that when you're talking about this drilling deep down, what it sounds like to me is fracking, and that's not something I want to, you know, be involved with, even like as an image, you know. But taking it back to Jesus and his parables, is always talking about planting seeds, growing seeds in this very rooted, embodied, real time, real life, organic, biotic, you know, growth of things that are regenerative, not just kind of Terminator seeds, like as if, you know, Monsanto was planting the church or something, you know, where it's like it just stops at you. But, you know, our consumerist mentalities want us to think that it stops with us, but really the movement is way beyond us, and we get to swim in it rather than just contain it, I think.
Yeah, hopefully it's like planting a shrub that grows like wildfire. You know, it's like planting mint in your backyard. It's gonna take everything over. You know, that's ideally we want that kind of raw energy and growth. We want it to be a little bit wild, a little bit feral, even, and because you can't control it all, and the less you try to do that, and the more you give it away to other people, the more effective it is. It's about expanding people's sense of ownership. Everyone gets to own this project. You become an owner just when you sign up. This isn't something that you purchase, and it's not something that you work for. We're owning it all together. Ben, why don't you wrap us up with a final thought?
Yeah, well, just to bounce off what you're saying, in speaking about church planting all the time, I think we give permission to our potential owners, the person I'm meeting for the first time. This is what we're doing. It's still new, and it's going to be new because you're here, and it's going to look different because you're going to do with the Holy Spirit what you're going to do, and use your gifts and know your people and be in your place. It's infinitely expandable, and I think that the church has, you know, had a bad rap or something like that for, you know, containing the mint, you know, keeping it in its box, or not planting mint because that's way too crazy. So talking about church planting keeps us like wintergreen fresh, you know. Calling ourselves minty, I think, allows for the movement to actually occur, because there's a lot that is in resistance to what we're trying to do. So we need to keep prophesying that it will happen, and structuring ourselves so that it will, praying that it will, and allowing the Spirit to move. And yes, plant the church again and again, and do it now.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Ben and Joshua, for doing this. If you like this video, physically like it, share it with your friends, and keep sending us questions that you want answered. See you next time.